Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Al C. I am a grateful recovering alcoholic and addict. What a privilege it is to be back. It's always encouraging to have an opportunity like this to share some good news to all of us that's in recovery, all of us that's trying to make change. Speaking of change, I know this is one of the subjects that always comes up either at meetings, whether you're sitting down with your sponsor, whether you're reading the big book, along the line, within the steps, whether you're just talking to another friend, having a cup of coffee, a pop, or something like that, change is not easy. Well, the beginning of my walk in recovery started 18 and a half years ago. How it started? Well, leaving treatment, I had an opportunity. My counselor made it very clear to me, Al, I have a great suggestion for you. I say, what is that? You say, well, 3 options. Go to a sober house, halfway house, or go back where you came from, which was no place. I took option 1, sober house. Changed my life. I know a lot of times we struggle with that, those recommendations. I would encourage you today, if you are in transition, please listen to your counselor, your sponsor, maybe someone that's very close to you to make some changes. Speaking of sober housing, what I did was went there with the ideal of maybe I'll just be here for 3 months. And 3 months came, and as the 3 months came, I decided, well, it's time for me to leave. Right as I was about to leave, the owner came to me and said, hey Al, you know, you've been doing some very good things here. What I like to do is like to sit down with you. And I say, what's that? He say, well, you go to a lot of meetings, you work. And I said, yes, I do all of those things. And would you be interested in becoming a house manager? I say, hey, why not? What does that detail? Well, I need for you to do UAs. I need for you to do meetings. I need for you to do bed checks, do a lot of other things, a multitude of different things. And I say, well, and what I was really waiting for, I was waiting for him to tell me how much money I was going to get out of the deal, because that was my previous thinking. And here again, we're talking about change. Now what happens? Well, I went ahead and stayed there, and not only did I stay there, I stayed there for 2.5 years. It saved my life. The sober house. Now for some of you out there, you have nice homes to go to, you have places, people that care about you. I wasn't in that situation, so maybe this video doesn't pertain to you. But if you're just listening and maybe you know someone that may need some help, maybe even in treatment, or maybe homeless like I was, maybe you can have them to look at this video and it'd be very helpful to them. Well, going to a sober house inspired me to wanting to get my own sober house. Now, it was a dream at first. And as a recovering alcoholic and addicts, that's what we do. We dream a lot. But we realize one thing, that this program of recovery is about action. And we have to take chances. Because if you recall, when we were using drugs and alcohol, we took a lot of chances. What kind of chances did we take? Well, some of us almost lost our lives. We stole, we lied, we did all of those other things. So now what we started to do, we started dreaming, we continue to dream, and then we took that and we made it a reality. Well, in my case, that's what happened. I was fortunate enough to step out there on that dream and buy not just one house, but 2 houses and opening up a sober house. We were in business for 3 years, my wife and I. And what happened? Well, we had some good success. You know, having a house like that, trying to accommodate 12 men wasn't very easy. We had a lot of guys coming in there with no jobs. Part of with transitional living is no income, and we were paying out of our pockets. Why was this so important to me? Well, someone had given me an opportunity living in a sober house. I stayed there again for 2.5 years, and so we had the house. And what it did for me was it gave me an opportunity to help others. And that was the most important thing. That was a very good thing until one day I get a call from the police department. And it wasn't a very good call, because when I got that call, there was a guy that was standing there. He had overdosed. And that was a sad day. And immediately the first thing I want to do as being an addict and alcoholic, you're talking about dealing with things and you're talking about change. I wanted to run from it, but I couldn't run from it because now this is reality again. So I faced up to it and we got over it, and we kept on trying to maintain the sober house. And at the end it didn't work out very well. What happened was, one Friday I went up. I lived 45 minutes away from the house. We had a house manager. And a Friday I go up and I see this guy. His name was Roy. And I see Roy, and Roy doesn't look very well. And I pull up and I'm like, from a distance I say, man, Roy, he doesn't look very well. So I pull up, I see Roy, I say, hey Roy, what's going on, man? I say, I'm good, Al. I look at him. You know how as addicts and stuff, we always say we're good when we're not good. And he didn't look good. And what I mean by that, he looked bloated. He looked a little pale. He didn't look good at all. It's like, hey, what can I do to help you? So I'm like, Roy, let me take you to the hospital. Roy said to me, no, I'm fine, Al. You know, you can't force a grown man to go to the hospital, right? No, you can't. So now what I do? I actually wound up leaving because it was like there's nothing I could do, and he told me he will be fine. Well, Saturday, the next day, I drive up and I see Roy again, and he even looks worse now. Now, to me, that tells me, hey, Al, you really need to do something. I approach Roy again by saying, Roy, let me take you to the hospital, or either let me call the paramedics. But Roy tells me the same thing. I'm fine, Al, I'll be fine. Now, I didn't just leave with that. It was bothering me to a point where I should have called the paramedics, and I didn't. What a lesson that I learned that day, because had I called the police or the paramedics to come out and help him, there would have been a huge change today. So now I go home, and Sunday I'm in bed sleeping. Early Sunday morning I get a call from the police department. They asked me who I was, told them who I was, and they say, well, you need to get up here immediately. Wow, what a scary moment. Now, the first thing that came to mind for me was, has something tragically happened in this sober house? What I did after that, I called the house and I talked to Roy's roommate. And what he told me will be with me for the rest of my life. He was crying on the phone, And it was a very sad moment. He told me that Roy had overdosed. So now this drive that I had to take up there was 45 minutes. To me, it seemed like it was 45 years to get there. What a long ride. But when I got there, it was very devastating what I seen. I seen the paramedics taking his body in a black bag down the stairs. A man that had told me 2 days prior that he was fine. So friends, I'm saying this to say this. We're not always fine, because on the inside we can be dying. But we have to let people know what's going on with us. Now immediately the first thing I wanted to do was close down that sober house, because that was too much for me. I'd never experienced anything like that before. But what a lesson I learned that day. It's sad sometimes it takes for a person to die to wake us up. If I'm ever in a situation like that again, I will not let someone tell me that they're fine. I will act upon the situation. I will call the paramedics. I will call the local officers and let them decide from that moment on. I sure hope that this video can be helpful to you, or maybe someone you know that are in transitional living, that's trying to make a change in their life. I stand here today, experiences that I've had living in a sober house, which changed my life, and here I was reaching out to try to help others, and there I lost someone that told me that they were fine. So please, listen to ones that are making some recommendations for you, for your benefit, whether you're in a treatment, transitional living, or whether you either at home and need to get some help, whatever the situation may be, because it varies. But please listen. And ones that see that person act immediately, because we're losing too many people. I'm Al C. Until the next time we see each other, talk to each other, stay sober, and peace.